Good morning, my friends. Welcome to our Bible reflection for today. I hope you're having a good week so far. Now, today we are going to do Judges chapter 19, which has to be, I give you kind of a health warning, it has to be one of those horrible chapters in the whole Bible. I had coffee with a friend of mine a couple of days ago, and she said to me, I see you doing the book of Judges in your morning talks. Are you going to do chapter 19 or are you going to duck it? Well, I don't do ducking. We're going to look at it now, but as I say, it's a horrible chapter, but we'll do it. It's in the Bible. And I'll do my best to give some thoughts about it afterwards. So here we go. Judges chapter 19. In those days, when there was no king in Israel, a certain Levite, living in the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim, took to himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. But his concubine became angry with him, and she went away from him to her father's house at Bethlehem in Judah, and was there some 4 months. Then her husband set out after her, to speak tenderly to her and bring her back. He had with him his servant and a couple of donkeys. When he reached her father's house, the girl's father saw him and came with joy to meet him. His father-in-law, the girl's father, made him stay, and he remained with him 3 days. So they ate and drank, and he stayed there. On the 4th day, they got up early in the morning and prepared to go. But the girl's father said to his father-in-law, "Fortify yourself with a bit of food, and after that you may go." So the two men sat and ate and drank together, and the girl's father said to the man, "Why not spend the night and enjoy yourself?" When the man got up to go, his father-in-law kept urging him until he spent the night there again. On the 5th day, he got up early in the morning to leave, and the girl's father said, "Fortify yourself." So they lingered until the day declined, and the two of them ate and drank. When the man with his concubine and his servant got up to leave, his father-in-law, the girl's father, said to him, "Look, the day has worn on until it's almost evening. Spend the night. See, the day is drawn to a close. Spend the night here and enjoy yourself. Tomorrow you can get up early in the morning for your journey and go home." But the man would not spend the night. He got up and departed, and arrived opposite Jebus, that is Jerusalem. He had with him a couple of saddle donkeys, and his concubine was with him. When they were near Jebus, the day was far spent, and the servant said to his master, "Come now, let us turn aside to the city of the Jebusites and spend the night in it." But his master said to him, "We will not turn aside into the city of foreigners who do not belong to the people of Israel. We will continue on to Gibeah." And he said to his servant, "Come, let us try to reach one of those places and spend the night at Gibeah or Ramah." So they passed on and went on their way. And the sun went down on them near Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. They turned aside there to go in and spend the night at Gibeah. He went in and sat down in the open square of the city, but no one took him in to spend the night. Then in the evening there was an old man coming in from his work in the field. The man was in the hill country of Ephraim, and he was residing at Gibeah. The people of the place were Benjamites. Then when the old man looked up and saw the wayfarer in the open square of the city, he said, "Where are you going, and where do you come from?" He answered him, "We are passing through from Bethlehem in Judah to the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim from which I come. I went to Bethlehem in Judah, and I'm going to my home. No one's offered to take me in. We, your servants, have straw and fodder for our donkeys, with bread and wine for them. For me and the woman and the young man along with us. We need nothing more." The old man said, "Peace be with you. I will care for all your wants, and do not spend your night in the square." So he brought him into his house and fed the donkeys and washed their feet and ate and drank. While they were enjoying themselves, the men of the city, a perverse lot, surrounded the house and started pounding on the door. They said to the old man, the master of the house, "Bring out the man who came into your house, that we may have intercourse with him." Then the man, the master of the house, went out to them and said to them, "No, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Since this man is my guest, do not do this vile thing. Here are my virgin daughter and his concubine. Let me bring them out now. Ravish them, do whatever you want with them, but against this man do not do such a vile thing." But the men would not listen to him. So the man seized the concubine and put her out to them. They wantonly raped her and abused her all through the night until the morning. And as dawn began to break, they let her go. As morning appeared, the woman came and fell down at the door of the man's house where her master was until it was light. In the morning, her master got up, opened the doors of the house, and when he went out to go on his way, there was his concubine lying at the door of the house with her hands on the threshold. "Get up," he said to her, "we're going." But there was no answer. Then he put her on the donkey, and the man set out for his house. When he entered his house, he took a knife, and grasping his concubine, cut her into 12 pieces, limb by limb, and sent her throughout all the territory of Israel. He commanded the men from whom he sent, saying, "Thus you shall say to all the Israelites, has such a thing ever happened since the day that the Israelites came up from the land of Egypt until this day? Consider it, take counsel, and speak out." And this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. It is, as I said, an absolutely horrible, horrible chapter. And I think it's right for a moment that we reflect on just how horrible it is. There is some vile behaviour here. No one comes out well out of this chapter, but there is some utterly unspeakable behaviour herein. And there's no other way of looking at it. It's just unspeakable. It reads really badly to us now, and it read badly to them then as well. It's utterly horrific. It's a story of, yes, vile behaviour from pretty much everybody involved. So, kind of what do we say about this? Three things I think my thoughts are. Firstly, this, in a sense, the importance in society of law and order. When there's an important verse at the beginning when it says, "In the days when there was no king," there was nobody in charge. And society and people need some kind of law and order. It's interesting in Romans chapter 13, when St. Paul is speaking, he talks about submitting to the governing authorities. And in his case, of course, the governing authorities were those who were persecuting Christians, the Roman Emperor at the time. And I think we can kind of learn from this that law and order is important. And where there's no law and order, the weak and the vulnerable are the people that suffer the most. So we should pray for the police. We should pray for, authorities, military authorities, and so on. Because we need them, actually, society needs. And without that, when the rules are taken off, this is the kind of thing that happens. So I think that's the first thing to say, is about the importance of making sure in society we have law and order. And as I say, that we support the police and pray for the police. And yeah, they're human beings like the rest of us, but actually, we need them. We need them to behave well, but we need law and order. And I think it's important that we remember that. The second thing to say is look at the appalling way in which the men treat the women in this. The women are clearly treated like goods and shackles, like a bad person might treat an animal in those days. Instead of being thought of as being value in their own right, the women are clearly considered to be goods and shackles, you might say. And one of the many important things about the Christian gospel is that the Christian gospel teaches us that all are made in the image of God. We are all beautifully made in his image. We are all people for whom Jesus loved enough that he died for them. And that in everything that happens, what goes on in society, we need to remember that every human being has consciousness, that every human being has, people that love them and care for them, and every human being is beautifully made in the image of God. And that happens. That's the case for everybody, men, women, boys, girls, everybody. We are all beautifully made in the image of God. And we all have in that case, it's absolutely correct that we treat everybody properly, and everybody is treated like somebody who is made in the image of God. And I think that's really important to recognise that. And whilst we're appalled by the scandalous behaviour of all the men in this reading, let's remember, as I say, let's make sure that we in our day do what we can to show that everybody, whoever they may be, wherever they come from, whatever the colour of their skin, whatever their gender may be, whatever it may be, we are all special and precious and made in the image of God. We were all so special in God's sight that he gave his son for them. And I think we need to hear that. But I think the third thing that's interesting about this chapter is where it takes place and who it takes place and who the people are involved. Because actually there's a similar chapter in book of Genesis and chapter 19, which takes place in a place called Sodom, where you may have heard of Sodom and Gomorrah. But I think the interesting thing about this chapter is that the horrific behaviour at the end actually happens in Israel. It happens at a place where the Benjaminites are, who should have known better. And that one of the bad people that behaves badly, one of the men with the bad behaviour, is a Levite. I mean, this Levite sends his concubine out to be gang raped by these men in Gibeah, and he goes to bed, and you just think, Benjamites are supposed to be people of God, and Levites are supposed to be men of God in particular. They're meant to be the holy people. And I suppose I think what it kind of says to me is that the people of God have gone astray massively. And that this is what happens when people do. We need God in our lives. And without God, the Benjaminites, who are ostensibly the people of God, are not behaving like it because they turned their back on God. And the Levite, also behaving badly as well, he turned his back on God as well. And that this, I think what it's saying is, this happens in a place where it shouldn't have happened. And I think we need to make sure that for ourselves, we look at the Bible and we look at things like this with an air of humility, because it could have happened to any of us. If we turn our back on God, then this is in a sense the kind of thing that might happen. But that it's not just for people out there. We can look at people like Sodomites and Gomorrahites or whatever and say, well, that's just them, and that was there and that was then. Actually, what this tells us is this is the people of God, are supposed to be the people of God doing this. It's in all of us. And it tells me more than ever that we need God in our lives. We need God's power. We need God's guidance. We need God's love. And we need God in our lives. And that this sort of thing, which made it unspeakable, it was utterly unspeakable. In a sense, it's in all of us if we haven't got God. And I think it just tells me again and again and again the importance that we need God in our lives. Friends, it's, as I say, not a nice chapter at all, but I hope you found that thought about it helpful. Have a good day. God bless you. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely Thursday. God bless.